Good morning, girls. We'll continue the chapter Force and Laws of Motion. And you know that in the previous weeks we had been studying what is the first law of motion, then what is inertia. We also completed what is momentum and what is the second law of motion, right? Now, before beginning or before stating the third law, I will revise with you what is the first law of motion, what is inertia, what is the second law, and also what is momentum, right? So the first law of motion says that if any object is at rest, it will remain at rest, or if an object is in motion, it will continue to be in motion till some external unbalanced force is applied on it. Right? This is the first law, Newton's first law. Then inertia says that it is the tendency of an object to oppose any change in the object, either in the state of rest or in the state of motion. Or we can also say that inertia is the tendency of an object to remain in the state of rest or in the state of motion. Okay, then there are three types of inertia: inertia of rest, motion, and direction. Then momentum is actually the quantity of motion which the object possesses, right? It is also stated that the momentum is the product of mass and velocity. Then according to the second law of motion, the rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the force applied, and the change in momentum will take place in the same direction in which the force is being applied. Okay, now today we will study what is the third law. The statement is, to every action there is equal and opposite reaction. Okay, now if any action is performed, right, to that action there will be a reaction, and that reaction will be opposite and equal in nature. So you have to remember that action and reaction are the forces which are being applied. Okay, I'll explain you with examples what are action and what are reaction forces. Then, so yeah, the action and the reaction force, they are equal and they are opposite in nature. Now we can study the third law of motion with some examples, but before that I'm going to write the statement here. It says that there are two ways in which you can write the statement. That is, to every action, comma, there is an equal but opposite reaction. Right? Okay. This is one statement. We can also write it as action and reaction are equal and opposite. Okay, so these are the two ways in which you can write the third law. That is, to every action there is an equal but opposite reaction, and action and reaction are equal and opposite. Okay, now to understand the third law, we need to remember 2-3 points. That is, number one is action and reaction are actually what? They are forces. Okay, I told you we'll study action reaction forces with the help of examples. Then number two, these action and reaction forces, they act on two different objects, right? This is another point, right? First one is action and reaction are forces. They act, that is, action and reaction forces act on two different objects. Number three, they are equal in magnitude. This is third point. And number four, they are opposite in directions. Means the direction of action will be opposite to the direction of reaction, or we can say that the direction in which the reaction takes place is opposite to the direction of the action force. Are you following what I said? Okay, so they are opposite in nature. We can say they are opposite in nature, they are opposite in direction, they are equal in magnitude, right? They act on two different objects. Then action and reaction are the forces, actually they are forces. Now we can understand the third law with some examples. The first example which I would like to take up is swimming. Right, if a person swims, the action of his hands the action of his hands is in the backward direction. Okay, so when a person is swimming, we are studying what now? Applications of the third law. And applications, I always tell you, are related to the real life examples. Number one, swimming can be explained with the help of third law. Why and how? When a person swims, he or she applies the force on water in the backward direction. You have seen how the person swims. What is the action of his hands? The action of his hands is backwards. This is the way he is going to apply force on water in the backward direction. Okay, so as he is trying to swim, the force which is applied on the water is the action force, right? As a result, what happens? Actually, what is the swimmer doing? He is trying to swim and he is moving forward. Now, the action force which is applied by his hands on water is in the backward direction. Okay, so what is the reaction here? The water gives the reaction to the person or on the person in the opposite direction. Okay, and then the person moves forward, or he or she is able to move or swim forward, right? So in simple words, we can say that swimming can be explained with the help of the third law. When a person tries to swim, he or she applies the force on water in the backward direction, right? And as a result of this, the water gives a reaction force to the person in the forward direction, and because of this, the person is able to swim and he moves forward. Okay, so this way you're going to write in your notebook that swimming is an example of or an application of the third law, because when a person tries to swim, he or she applies a force in the backward direction and the force is being applied on the water. Okay, now this is the action force. You have to write all these points. This is the action force. Then as a result of this, what happens? The water gives a reaction to the person and the reaction is in the forward direction, and therefore he is able to move forward or he is able to swim forward. Okay, this is one example of or application of the third law. Then number two, similarly we have one more, walking. How do you walk? You apply force on the ground, right? When you apply the force on the ground, you actually are applying the force on the ground in the backward direction. But because of your small force, the earth or the ground is not able to move. We cannot see the earth moving because of the force you are applying on it. So walking can be also explained with the help of third law, that it says that when you apply the force on the surface of the earth or on the ground, you are actually pushing the ground backward. Okay, now because of your force being applied in the backward direction, okay, which is an action force, the earth or the ground gives a reaction to the person, right, in the forward direction, and this is how the person is able to walk. Okay, so you can write these two examples on the basis of the third law, that is swimming also as well as walking are both based on the can be explained with the help of third law. And what is the third law? To every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Okay, or we can say that action and reaction are opposite and equal in nature. Then there are some more examples on this third law. Number three, when a bullet is fired. Acha, you must have gone in any exhibition where you have tried to shoot the balloons, which are all displayed on a white sheet. You all must have done this. Now you want to hit the balloon, or you want to deflate that balloon. So what happens when you are holding the gun on your shoulders, or the way when you are trying to means what? When you are trying to fire a bullet, actually what happens when a bullet is fired from the gun? Okay, when the bullet is fired from the gun, the person who is holding the gun he gets a jerk in the backward direction, or we can say that the gun recoils. Okay, I'll use the word recoil. Okay, the gun recoils. So again, when a bullet is fired from the gun, from any gun, the bullet moves in the forward direction. Okay, what happens to the gun? The gun moves in the backward direction, or we can say that the gun recoils. This also can be explained with the help of third law, which says that when a bullet is fired, okay, when we press the trigger of the gun, the bullet is fired, the bullet moves in the forward direction. This is the action force. Okay, this is the action force. Now, because I told you that every action has an equal and opposite reaction, now the bullet is going in the forward direction as an action force. Bullet gives a reaction to the gun in the backward direction, and therefore the gun recoils, or we can say that the gun moved little backward, and the person who is holding the gun gets a jerk. Okay, so this is also the third law of motion, which is explaining the firing of the bullet. Okay, so today what you will do is you will study this third law of motion, write the statements in the notebook, both the statements, and those 4 important points which I had written over here, you will copy those, you will learn those, and then you will try to write these 3 examples. One is swimming, okay, one is walking, and one is firing a bullet. Now I will give you the notes on this topic today in the afternoon or in the evening. Before that, you try this. Okay, write the statement, write the 4-5 points, important points which I told you, and also try to explain these examples. First you listen to my explanation and try to write. Otherwise I will give you the notes also on this topic, and you try to understand them and try to find out more examples from your textbook and read your chapter. Okay, and if you have any doubt, I'll explain you, and tomorrow also I will continue the same law. Some more applications and some more numericals I will take up, and if you have any doubt, children, you can ask me. Okay, thank you, and have a nice day.